Uniform guidelines should be established and clearly communicated to staff and enforced. Uniform requirements arise from good practices and those risks identified during your risk assessment. Depending on the risks involved in a particular role or position, uniform requirements may vary. But be aware that making the uniform policy too varied or complicated will make it more difficult to enforce. Uniform requirements address such things as outerwear, hair restraints, jewelry, cosmetics, and gloves. Many facilities provide smocks, aprons, or overcoats for their employees. Such outerwear should be selected based on a risk assessment. Some general guidelines include the following. No loose clothing or objects should be worn. Buttons should be avoided on garments. Velcro or snaps are popular choices. Outer garments may need to be easily removed if leaving the production area often to avoid contaminating the garments. There may also be requirements related to occupational safety, such as closed-toed shoes that are flat and skid-resistant. Steel-toed shoes may be appropriate for employee safety, especially for employees who dismantle equipment. Be prepared to instruct employees on the uniform requirements and educate them on the responsibilities around keeping uniforms clean and in good shape, including rules about taking uniforms home or leaving them at the facility. Hair restraints are another important component of the plant's uniform. Management should determine when and how hair restraints are to be used by employees. The type of hair restraint should be determined as appropriate based on the risk assessment and industry standards. Hair restraints should be readily available for anyone entering a production area. Most plants use fine mesh hairnets, and employees are required to cover all hair and ears. There are other forms of hair restraint methods, such as shaving, knit caps, or turbans. With any reusable hair restraint, it is important to ensure that the restraint is clean and free from debris. Beard nets are often used if an employer lets their employees grow out facial hair. However, many companies choose to adopt a no facial hair policy to avoid this added element. In addition to facial hair, it's important to consider other body hair such as chest or arm hair and to ensure that employees are adequately covered. Jewelry is another area that should be addressed as part of a plant's uniform requirements. Most plants will not allow jewelry to be worn at all, or they may allow one ring, such as a wedding band, that does not have any stones. Any object that could fall into the product should be prohibited. One exception to this rule may be when an employee wears medical ID jewelry, in which case it is recommended that they wear it as a necklace and tuck it under their shirt. Another potential contamination hazard are cosmetics. Cosmetics include makeup, nail polish, perfume, fake nails or eyelashes, and even lotion. The Personnel Practices Program should address these specifically so that employees know what is and is not allowed on the plant floor. One other very important component of any uniform is the gloves. Gloves are often used to protect the product from contamination by human hands. Some studies have shown that non-injured, properly washed hands are just as sanitary as gloves. Other studies have shown that gloves are not sanitized as well as we would think. Accordingly, the FDA does not require gloves. However, most companies still use gloves as a visible protective measure against product contamination. There are some dangers that come with using gloves, however. For instance, gloves can become contaminated if they are put on with dirty hands, or sometimes we forget that gloves can become dirty just as easily as hands can, and therefore forget to change gloves, or sometimes gloves can get torn and leave material in the product. If gloves are reusable, they should be hung on a designated line between uses. Guidelines should be developed to address frequency of washing reusable gloves, how they will be washed, and where dirty versus clean gloves will be stored. It's also important to determine when gloves should be discarded, such as if they become damaged or worn. Single-use gloves, such as nitrile or nylon gloves, should be changed if there is any possibility of contamination.